Hey there, everybody. How are you? I'm MJ. So today is a new day, and we will be channeling messages around big planetary movements. As per the title, Neptune ingress into Aries. Neptune is a very dreamy spiritual energy. It last ingressed into Pisces back in 2011 and 2012. And I don't know if you guys might remember, there was a lot of buzz around the end of the Mayan calendar, or a kind of significant end of time. Although, you could say humankind has often been predicting and or looking at apocalyptic type of energy, or the end times and these sorts of things. But in a real way, I would say when big outer planets ingress, which means they're starting to move into a new sign, or they're at the very end of the other sign, Pisces, in this regard, that we're feeling it. So, and last year and this year into next year is really, really astounding, astrologically speaking. And in this moment, the fact that we're in the eclipses, that we have both Venus and Mercury retrograding from Aries back to Pisces, and that we've got Neptune and then Saturn moving into Aries, and we have the final eclipse in Aries happening at the end of this month, and then Neptune. It's so profound. And one of you, Scott, you were reflecting the last couple of days. I think you were like, oh, the veil feels thin. And I reflected, indeed it does. And that's likely to be a Neptunian signature. Some of you know as well, I had a really good friend visiting over the weekend, and we talked lots of astro talk. And she shared the stars with me, and just being able to pinpoint different constellations and planets, and just the profundity of interrelating with the cosmos, much the way ancient peoples did, and the way we are increasingly exploring that now as an aspect of our own consciousness. And how our connection to the stars and the planets, I would say, can positively direct our lives, right? So I'm feeling the energy shift now. And so the new format for my lovers is I am going to be still sharing quite a bit, but I'm going to be sharing to my Patreon community first. I want to say thank you. Some of you commented, or I was quite overwhelmed. There was quite a bit of like interaction, or just people reaching out and commenting. I posted a fairly dramatic, I guess, because the title was "I Failed," and then I think what's interesting is that I spoke to my sister and my dad yesterday, and my dad's like, oh, super worried, and then people are like, you didn't fail. And it's interesting because if you read the whole post, I talk about how I've healed my family system, and I've healed my relationship with my sister, whom I've been estranged from for 20 years, and how that is priceless. And the true reward of healing is having these relationships, these most fundamental and foundational and important relationships that I thought I didn't have. And no amount of fame, fortune, or sort of business success really matters if you don't have loved ones, right? If you don't have the people to share any of that with. So But thank you. Thank you to everyone who commented and who reached out, and that's really, really kind. However, I am making some changes behind the scenes in as far as um, I don't feel called to be sharing really regular, like daily tarot and that on Instagram and Facebook. I'm kind of like, thank you to those platforms, and I'm sure I'll share intuitively there as and when. Um, the profiles are there, they're active. People can look at lots and lots of content on all the platforms from all the years of all the sharing. But from here on out, I'm kind of coming into self, and I'm sure these planetary shifts, because I have Aries in that third house or fourth house, but it's healing that home and family is also kind of me coming into my community. And the Patreons, of course, are a foundational aspect of the Alta Love community. So, yes, there's the kind of shape shift is that Patreons are going to get this Grand Rising, Scott Satellite. Patreons are going to get the ad-free first access, and then I will intuitively pluck and sort of hand pick the ones that I end up publishing to go to the public, and then maybe I'll share. What I'm going to be also playing around with, working with, is channeled messages. So just like going back to circa 2018, 2019, when it was just sort of from the heart intuitive sharing. Like I was saying, like I just want to be open and present and like download the messages based on the title and or the topic share. And I do have the cards out, so if I feel guided, I will of course pull some cards for this community and or our community at large. And again, I'll just say thank you if you're called to share or what have you. I would just say, hold the phone until we're in agreement to share something to the public. So I'm hearing the classic for the cards, but I'm not grabbing the cards. But it is divine guidance and loving clarity from my lovers. Divine guidance and loving clarity for the Neptunian transit into Aries. That's a relevant piece in as far as the divine guidance. And I said earlier, you might have missed that, Scott, but I spoke of you. Maybe that woke you up. The veil is thin. There's a large mass awakening in seeing through delusion and deception. Bearing in mind the Neptunian signature does have a lot to do with screens and media and entertainment. And in fact, any of us that are putting images and putting our faces and creating media as such that are putting it out there. So there is something about a media collapse. So I just got like an image of Earth and different sort of natural disasters. Not to fearmonger, I'll just share what comes through. Water, so Pisces obviously is the ocean, is an oceanic energetic as well, and having floods and water disasters. However, the water affects the electrical grid, right? So Neptune in Aries could also spark different kind of electrical mishaps that that frazzle and shapeshift how we're using our electronic devices, or just how we're broadcasting and sharing. There's something about, like, there are default settings, or there are default mechanisms that we can use. But we're still moving into sparks. So sparks and initiations, and again, an idea of awakening. There's that in and of itself is a bit of a spark, right? Being sparked, being lit up, maybe more people sharing, yeah, community things, okay, like sparked to generate new philosophical ideations in communities, new spirituality. The flip, interestingly too, is like there's obviously like water is the feminine, fire is the masculine, but it's inverted and kind of reversed. So the Neptune moving into Aries signature is actually likely to spark more female-led movements. Bearing in mind that this is a 14-year transit, all of the outer planets have longer, we're looking at 8, 10, 15, 20-year transits, which is why the outer planets are considered generational, okay? So most of us, depending on when we're born, have Neptune in a similar place as lots of other people that are born around that same time. So I have Neptune, it's conjuncting the galactic center, which is a fairly significant energetic point, and it's 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which is the same as lots of people born around 1982. So generationally, there's likely to be a generational activation, just like Pluto in Libra. I'm speaking about my personal placements, okay? But then I'm also speaking to my generation, the people born in the late 70s, or even maybe even as early, but mid-ish 70s into like mid 80s is the Pluto Libra generation, which there's a shift in our relational paradigm, deconstructing the construct of marriage, in how we relate, right? And then, from certainly my perspective, this is part of a spiritual activation and having greater access to a deeper truth, not abiding by the externalized rules, which also brings me back to Neptune in Aries. It's an initiation. There's going to be fighting and people, warrior, Aries is the warrior. Aries is the spark of life. So this dreamy spiritual planet of Pisces is really kind of initiating or expanding that spark of life into the ram, into the forward motion, right? So the spiritually activated people, and women in particular, are going to be brought into action, right? It's time to move, it's time to create, it's time to, on the physical plane, which is where, when Saturn moves in, this is about implementing and or expressing the actual systems, the actual foundational structures, which could be building houses, could be more travel, possibly. Although bear in mind, there's something about Pluto. Pluto and Aquarius is part of this signature that is like kind of shaking up air travel a little bit. So really, really crunchy, kind of, that's the word I'm hearing. I'm hearing like sort of really crunchy times, but also activated. And our ability to hold space for, again, continuing natural disasters, continuing wars, because it's only really looking at patterns, right? When we look at the patterns, what I've heard other people talk about is that this is like Neptune in Aries is the signature of the Civil War in our great USA, North America, and because the Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, understand too. There's very much a death and rebirth cycle happening, and yet it's kind of interwoven and very cosmically, energetically, quantumly. It's being laid down as things are being destroyed, as new things are being implemented. It's not like we knock on a door, like, come on, knock on a door. Like, we're walking into the Aquarian age. There's aspects of it here now. But there's just constant kind of like overlays and then shifts, and we are continuing to collectivize, but it's not as obvious on some levels. It's very obvious on certain levels. Okay, you see the students protesting, you see more tent cities, right? Which is a obvious, clear disparaging of our class system, and unrest, civil unrest, okay, prelude to civil wars or outbreaks of greater violence, Aries, Mars, to protect our civil rights and to protect our homes. So sparks, again, Aries, an initiatory energies to open up the gate to a different energetic signature when Neptune moves in to Taurus. See, Uranus has been moving through Taurus, which has been shaking up the grid, been destabilizing our fixed earth energy, spiritual awakening, but also in real time, economic despair and stock market crashes and food shortages, and or just the wars that we are living through that are affecting our trades and our ability to access things. But even before the wars, like a greater awareness of the corruption, Pluto and Capricorn, right, moving into Aquarius, the corruption, the monopoly that economies and things or countries would have over our food source. Hence the Neptunian in Aries energy of birthing new communities where we are wanting to grow our own food and basically stripping it back, taking away the mass delusion and focusing more on local communities, right? Divine guidance, loving clarity. I'm going to move into the cards now, my lovers. So super intuitive. I'm feeling fairly directed in clear in these. It's only taken me, the best part of 13 years of sharing on the internet, but here we are merging the skill set and the guided work. So, and prioritizing my Patreon community and hand plucking and picking and choosing what I share on other platforms. Just not sharing so much everywhere. And actually simplifying my personal existence and just something, there's something about having less access. Um, Side note, on a personal level, there's been messages and peculiar messages of people making demands of me and telling me what I need to do for them, and I can own that in as far as being open and sharing a lot, etc. And yet, um, me having to kind of drop into myself and question what do I like. Do I owe that person something? And quite frankly, I kind of rationalize if there's something really important, or but I think that's part of healing my family roots, and healing that is knowing like who's important, knowing the people that have been there for me, knowing versus in many ways people who have just maybe used me and then discarded me, or somehow just because I'm sharing on the internet and people are ingesting that information thinking that we're best buds, or possibly somewhat misinterpreting the purpose of uh, my intention of being here. um, and I knew as I was winding down last night that I will continue to share because it's part of my flow, you know. I enjoy the routine, and I've done a lot of inner work to bring me to the space of wanting to share from my heart to my patrons and to the community on the internet that are meant for the messages of all to love. Um, but to kind of close certain doors of accessibility and honoring the amount of time it's taken for me to establish those boundaries, but it makes perfect sense on a planetary level. Neptune's that spark initiating, Saturn is closing those structural doors, moving through Pisces. It's becoming more obvious to me that I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. And I don't need to work so hard. That's also, to me, initiating new communities, establishing new structures. We channel our creative expression in a more feminine, fluid way, which balances out the scales of a paradigm fixed in this is how it is and this is how you work, and the imprisonment of that which people call the enslavement system or prison system or matrix is that is delusional, right? And Pisces and Neptune is washing it clean, right? It's becoming more and more obvious. Prison planet, right? Being run by criminals, being run by dictators, being run by people who lack empathy and compassion. Aquarian age is this higher energetic, Uranus, representative of the higher mind that's being ushered in and born within us. And of course, there's lots of murky delusion around all of it anyway. Be aware of false gurus, be aware of cults. But this is where the language and the discernment comes in, is that the world we live in many ways, the economy and politic, that's all a cult. That's all a mental program that we've all been mentally indoctrinated to believe in, to buy into, right? Political agendas or political parties, divide and conquer, shopping. That's a cult. That's a culture that we've been told en masse is the right one until it's not. Aries, spark, new. So Neptune is birthing in these new cultures while Uranus is shaking up the old ones, the so-called fixed earth ones, And Pluto in Aquarius is razzle dazzle, our technological brain, and the way that we share, and the way that we fly, and the way that we move through the planet. You know, Pluto in Aquarius could radically alter. Pluto in Aquarius could bring about flying cars. I kid you not. Think about the Jetsons. Pluto in Aquarius could transform and speed up, it already has, the way that we're communicating. And I mean both our, like physically, but Neptune in Aries, Pluto in Aquarius, and another air signature, or Uranus will be going into Gemini. So when we have all this air and fire, get ready for quantum healing and telepathic psychic communication to go through the hollow roof. Seriously. As in, a lot of us are preparing already. Telepathy supreme. Nice point there, Scott. Grand Rising. So, speaking of growing our own food, I enjoy learning to can and preserve totally. I think in many ways they kind of go hand in hand. You know, I'm a fan of sauerkraut. So, sauerkraut is preserved, right? And as you know, I've been making beans. But of course, that can all be canned and preserved, obviously. So I feel you there. But anything and everything. I could be making carrots and preserving carrots and all sorts. So it's yeah, holla shazam. And then I'm thinking, you know, right on my doorstep, I have just made sauerkraut. It's pretty easy, right? Like you just add, I want to say like salt or something. And you just have to store it appropriately. But then that makes me think of learning how to make kombucha, learning how to make kefir. Um, where was my mind going? On my doorstep, there are apples, learning how to make cider vinegar, sugar, salt, vinegar, right? And then I think if I grew cucumber, we could be making some gherkins, right? Pickles. I've attempted to share twice recently. It didn't align. Very curious. It didn't feel right. As in, share on your YouTubular. Yeah, I'm deaf, and I'm like I said to you yesterday. Like I'm sure this is the Neptune. As in, it's all happening. It's all shifting, and it's like I can feel that structure really like this is the new phase, lava, and grounding it. And, you know, to my long-standing support and community, I probably will share most days. Like I established this many years ago. But it's part of the download. It's part of the what kind of anchors me and helps me feel connected to the collective, and supports my own spiritual practices and my spiritual growth, and my community, the people who have been here that inspire me, and vice versa, right? A lot of humility, and weird, very bizarro, but hey ho, what's life? um the shifting of when I look back at these last 10, 12, 13 years, just how hard I've worked, and just how outworking a lot of the survival imprint, unworthiness imprint, and flip, reverse, invert, a subconscious need to share and share and share, really with potentially laced a little bit of fear and a little bit of like, gotta, there's a generosity, and yet, I don't know. I would say there's actually, in truth, what I'm feeling is a deeper trust. To each their own. To thine own be to themselves be true. And I don't. It's somehow, and that would be relevant to the Neptunian signature and Saturn karma. Yo, these big, heavy planetary hitters are closing out, not just like moving through a sign, but Pisces is the final sign. It's where we go to die. It's the 12th house. It's the spiritual house. So Neptune is literally cleansing and resetting our spiritual psyche. Saturn is closing out 30 plus years of our personal and collective karma, right? So it's bigger, than we might realize, in as far as the way we used to do is done. And now we're moving into new corridors of life. And a lot of us are feeling and sensing, but there's that aspect of the birthing of new leaders and or new teachers, where it's only through what's coming in that we'll continue to see what we've been creating. As in those who have been creating from the quantum visionary, Neptune, who have been activated spiritually, versus the many masses that are still unconscious, that are still in the program. Hala hala, 3D paradigm. I work, I make money, and I buy. And there's no right or wrong or good or bad. It's just an aspect of a unification of our knowing. That we're all in electrical, magnetic, synergistic relationship. We are the planet, and we are in a relationship with our planetary systems. I mean, that alone, if that alone doesn't spark a sense of interdimensionality or intergalactic wisdom, people can talk about aliens, and I don't disbelieve in the alien, right? But we are. It's almost like we are that too. Once you open up to that kind of galactic awareness and look around at our humanity and the wild and beautiful differences, we are all from different places and spaces in the universe, visiting Earth, maybe. And so that's a lot of the bridge. It's not about necessarily, and it can be, it's not necessarily about, intergalactic travel just yet. It certainly, to me, isn't about going to different planets to conquer those planets. It's more to do with accessing our multidimensional intergalactic wisdom via the quantum, which is happening whether we like it or not, and then expanding that into our earthly planetary realm. But it's very grounded, right? It's not like space, it's not necessarily yet like spaceships coming down and it's like a slow and gentle, steady bridge, although it will seem like it's happening faster and faster because there is a sense of time speeding up. But there's a return to Earth, but from a higher vantage point that allows us to work less, feel more, work in that laborious sense, it more en fleur, quantum, right? And being connected. So having a greater discernment with our psychic telepathic abilities and grounding that, and then just enjoying our earthly existence. It's not that cray cray. And yet, holy Shazam, I couldn't have been as grounded and present sharing this 12 years ago. I was like, what am I meant to do? Where am I going? And I still, it's not like I know in that firm old paradigm way of like, this is where God, this is, it's just here now in expression, in an alignment, like what you said about like, it doesn't feel culture, subculture, cults. Yes, right. It didn't feel right. Thank you. Hence where it's like almost like everything's speeding up. So from within self, there's a slowing down, and everything's already been created. And now it's like, whew, I just got an image of like literally like a Sonic the Hedgehog, or this slowing down. And because we were going so fast before, the slowing down almost feels like slow motion, but it's just like landing. And I'm taking all the best bits from all from all of the years, uh, because there were predictive elements of some of my past shares that are still coming true, and so I want to honor my guided in the moment truth, my own moment to moment, day to day spirituality, and um, and I love working with the cards, and it's a service that I pardon me, it's a service that I can provide. So I do want to move into the cards now. Feel free to share too. Let me know. I must say too that the blog post from yesterday, Scott, I was talking to my sister about it. It's so fascinating to witness people's interpretations, because I had a very emotional day, but that was more to do with just releasing and processing and clearing stuff. But I how just that share, I think a lot of people are like, you didn't fail, and like thinking it was like this very sad post, and to me it was like groundbreakingly renewing and positive. And my own sister, and she got a hala special mention in that post. She too was like, beautifully written. I don't see that as sad. Like, to me, you're coming to ground, you're healing your family, that's the priceless awesomeness, right? um but I guess it's written with some sort of like, yeah, breakthrough. Hala. Okie dokie. So for fun, let's pull some cards for the Patreons. My patrons. I always get a little like confused. Queen of Coins, Mega Breakthrough. Well, thanks, Scott. Well, I mean, straight up legit. And then I had a chat with my dad yesterday. I had a chat with my sister, and like, and then today I'm like, I don't want to give so much. I don't want, just very selfishly, like, I don't want people to have access to me. If I don't want to do something, I don't want to do it. I can't. I don't know. But I'm kind of like, it's not gonna, I'm too far gone. I'm too far gone to like try to fix things. Like try to keep, as in I've been doing the daily shares, I must keep doing the daily shares. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm like, when my life has always been intuitive, so it's like, why would that? And is there fear? Yeah. Am I holding space for myself to be suspended in the unknown? Yeah. I was explaining this to my sister, like, all of my yoga clients are pure miraculous referrals. I have not promoted or marketed or pushed or forced or tried to get yoga clients. Genuine supreme, they would just fall away and then another would come in. If purely through referrals and like organic, and it's just been stabilizing my reality. A couple clients have just left. What's gonna happen? I don't know. But I live in trust. And I can hold the space of, well, if anything, I'm able to hold that trust more securely after everything I've been through. That's all. And so at these shift points, just like in my past, things come in. This is why it's like giving y'all permission to let go, to trust that life has your back, as cliche as that might sound, that we are held, right? That we live from a different operational system. It's pretty radical, I guess. Let's get just a few more cards here for my lovers, and then I'll get a layer. I'll layer it up. Yeah, completion with the World card, Saturn. There's the Four of Cups. There is an expectation of an arrival. Of, oh, what's that? Something else is coming in via the World, which the World is the final major arcana. So there is very much, ooh, see, what's the Queen of Coins is here. This is maybe a decision that needs to be made. It's like not, there could be areas of life that we just can't move forward on until we make a decision or the thing arrives. So it's not like forcing the boat. We're not going to like, just keep going. Ha! We're going to move forward. It's like, hold on, wait. There's the Four of Cups. He's kind of just chilling there, if you can see. Sit down, my lovers. Maybe I'll say that to myself, but I am sitting down, and the last 2 days, like since Maz left, it's just been like, boom. Actually, and even with her, there's been very little action. Have I even gotten in my car? I don't think I've even gotten in my car since Friday. What day is it? It's fucking Tuesday today. I haven't gotten in my car. I've barely gone out. I haven't gone for a walk. It's been very withdrawn, very, very hermiting, and yet expansive. There's no forcing. There's no, I had one session and I had to postpone. I couldn't bring myself to do, and there, it's all shape shifting, and I'm here for it. Like I said, the limbs are gonna be a bit of, but hey ho. Ace of Cups, new energy coming in. For some of us, there could be actually new work. It's a coins, an 8 of coins. Or rather, this Ace of Cups is like something that's been working behind the scenes, okay? A fair bit of cup energy. Love, emotion. The World, one chapter closing, one, which, okay, the World card with an Ace of Cups. Clearly, obviously, there's one chapter ending, closure, fini, that world, we're done. And then new wellspring, new energy, new work maybe for some of us. But there's something about that work is actually more to do with what's been going on behind the scenes, okay? Because the energetic's gonna flow. The Four of Cups and an Ace of Cups. This is energy that's gonna start to flow out of us, like sort of how I'm reflecting that too. Like these shifts and little shifts and little shifts. They're just, as in, I'll be just sharing here to the Patreon and drip feeding as and when bits. Um I don't want to give so much. It's not even like some weird selfish things. I do want to give, but it's not, it's like I've already given everything that I can give and was meant to give. And now I'm having to drop in and listen. And that's all. Like, it's just, I mean, sometimes it's like life is serious. It's not, though. Look, interesting. And I could even take that message. So optimism and spiritual guide. This is part of that. Interesting. Over yonder is the energy of sexuality. So that could be changing or taking a back seat for some of us. Optimism and the spiritual guide. See what I'm saying there too is like a little bit of that withdrawal or letting life be presented to you. Letting new opportunities just appear. Like, you don't have to go looking. Life is happening. This is like that again, the overarching and internal and all over shifting paradigm. It is miraculous. This whole experience is miraculous, that we're conditioned to disconnect from our miraculous nature. I still keep getting the insert of "come on, knock on our door." I don't know why. I'll be waiting for you. So the Fool has already happened. The Fool in the reverse. Don't be afraid now. Don't be afraid. The Fool card. We're brand new. We're brand new. Neptune and Aries. Aries is the Fool. But a lot of us, there's already been those initiations. There's already been maybe some of those foolish leaps where other people are like, oh my God, what are you doing? I'm just gonna, there's just a couple more, this deck in my Osho deck, so I'm just gonna pull. There's something to here. The jewels are so integrating our shadow, integrating the light and the dark, the beautiful or the alive and the death, right? The right, the left, the male, the female. That's what brings the gem. That's what brings the golden nugget of truth, the spark of life, and the golden nugget of material resources. I'm going to intuit this card today with the bear energy. I've already gotten a couple hits. There's this strength of power and rebirth. As in bears hibernate and then they wake up in springtime, like, what if? But there's a solidity, and I keep getting an image of like bears will sit and just watch the sunsets or watch beautiful landscapes, right? Another hit I'm getting is like, be prepared for an awakening and or increased spiritual connection with creatures and animals. As in, as we evolve, so does the entire planetary field. So our connection, our ability to communicate, not just with creatures and animals, but plants, trees, water bodies, one another, obviously, psychically. So these are also like things to watch out for as far as intuitive hits, psychic hits, where it's like, I'm pretty sure that dog just spoke to me, or like having, because they're evolving too. We are one. Aries, the spark of life, is a recognition of that unity. Neptune moving into Aries, as much as it's going to keep kind of apparently activating the war cycles, but that's also the leading to the end. Like, I last night was hearing something about, late stage capitalism. That's the late stage, is the falling and the crumbling of it. Some of you are putting, there's been work behind the scenes. For whatever reason, sexuality could be taking a back seat, or it's there and maybe there's something going on within the collective around sexuality and or sexual energy. I'm sure if need be that will come through other shares or readings. You guys, I think I'm gonna leave where you get my Scots. Hi. I think I'm gonna leave it there. Oh, pardon me. There's a little bit more of the messaging with sexuality, guilt. So maybe there's something behind the scenes going on around transforming guilt around sexuality and or sexual energy, that we're going to improve sexual health, that we're going to improve our connection to sex energy as a creative life force, evolving out of guilt. There's a lot that's probably been working out behind the scenes to bring about new energy, closing out the old world. And instead of having to fight for it, work for it, make it happen, there's like just sit down, allow it to come through. We're not moving forward in the old ways. There's a solidity in this rebirth. There's a very profound shadow alchemy, integrating the dark to birth the light and know the golden nugget of wisdom and truth and abundance in actuality. Kind of just letting it come in and land rather than going and seeking. So there's a new integrated wisdom, which that word expression's been coming through a fair bit. I want to say even for like the last year. Stay positive, optimism. It's coming out of mind into a wholeness in the body as well. All right, my loves, I'll leave it there. Scott, thanks for being here. Grand Rising, it's early for you. Have a wonderful day. We'll be in touch, I'm sure. And my patrons, thank you so much. So again, this is a bit of a new flow. As and when I share these publicly, please feel free to share them with people that you think might appreciate. From time to time, I might be putting them, like I might share the link on Instagram, for example. But again, I'm getting kind of annoying. Like I'm getting not annoying. It just like, again, people on the internet that I'm not really like, I don't know or don't really speak to and don't have an actual relationship with. They're just kind of messaging me and making demands of me, and I don't really want to be there anymore. And my community on YouTube is kind of like where it all really started. And yeah, I meta and having to share on all the platforms and be able to visit, it's just kind of that need, that impulse is falling away. Anywho, my loves, equally exhausting. Yeah, right. Holla, holla, holla. Yeah. And it makes me think of like even just engaging less on social. Like I really watch long form astrological content on YouTube, or like psychic channeled messages. And I have maybe 2 or 3 people on TikTok that I listen to, but as we've discussed, like gardening, and as boring as it might sound, just like basking in my own quietude, communicating with loved ones, sharing our day, maybe once or twice a week going and running a few errands in town. right? It's a simple life. What a wonderful world. Have a great day, Scott. We'll be in touch. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you all so much. Neptune and Aries share for you, and I'll see you guys next time, possibly tomorrow, or certainly I'll be here for a few more rounds. Well, I'll definitely take a live share for the Aries eclipse happening at the end of this week on the 29th. Well, we'll just see, but it's not too dissimilar. Daily shares, daily-ish shares. Just that it's the patrons that are gonna get my most active attention, and the rest is history. I'm hearing. Have a wonderful day. I'll speak to you soon. Reach out if need be. Feel free to comment and share when we put it out there. Have a good one. Peace out.